I'm Christy. Today I want to talk about the complications, blessings of the special needs life. I talk fairly regularly about how special needs complicate life. It's not bad, it's just different. Harder in many respects, but more beautiful too. A few months ago, I did a series on life with special needs. You can read, I've got a link to the first post in that series over on the blog. You can find that at www.havenofhopeforme.com. This originally posted the end of March of 2022. In that initial post, I talked about how life with special needs is filled with blessings and a lot of lessons. That first post will lead you to the rest of the series if you're interested in catching up. I've also talked about how special needs impact various family members. I've got a link to the first post of that series also over on the blog. But as I thought through what I wanted to talk about here next on the blog, I realized I haven't specifically addressed what life is like as the parent, or now a caregiver, of someone with special needs. Yes, it's related to those two series I referenced above, but it's also different. When you have a child who has special needs, so much of how you parent and raise that child is different from anything you ever expected. Some things are completely thrown out the window and you have to figure out completely new ways of doing things. Other things are modified to fit the individual. And still other things are completely new and new directions. But over time, you learn, adapt, and figure out what your child needs. It's also interesting to see how things change as your child grows. In some ways, I think it's almost easier when they're younger. Yes, the delays are often painfully obvious. Missed milestones that everybody watches for. Inability to join in the social aspects with their peers. But I'm beginning to think that those gaps actually grow as your child grows, even while it may be more difficult to see at first glance. As AJ grew and progressed in school, he was less and less able to function appropriately and participate in age-level classes. It wasn't that he couldn't attend those classes. He could have walked into those classes and taken a seat just like all the other students. But the older he got, the less he would have understood or been able to participate in group discussions. He would have had to sit in class and he would have become bored. And eventually he would have started refusing to attend those classes because he wasn't interested in them, because he didn't know what was going on. It's hard to see that as a difference though. He easily could have been looked at as an uninterested student who didn't care about his grades or was just there because he couldn't figure out how to ditch without getting caught. In many ways though, I'm discovering that these differences that AJ has are even greater now that he's an adult. Again, they can be hard to miss, or they can stand out with glaring obviousness. He's not yet driving and possibly never will, much to his disappointment. He's still struggling to learn appropriate job skills and look for his first paid job. He misses the social cues regularly, and his conversation topics are narrow and repeated ad nauseum. Now, I could go on, but I think you get the idea. These are just a few of the ways that special needs complicate life. Again, it's not bad, it's just different. Harder in many ways. And yet I've also learned, and I now choose, to look at the blessings that have come from living with special needs, or with someone who has special needs. I'm learning to appreciate every single accomplishment, because it took so much more work to achieve. Learning to slow down and not live so frenzied that you miss smelling the roses, so to speak. Discovering the joy of celebrating the simplicity of a normal day, regardless of how filled with appointments or busyness it might have been. Finding the simple joy of getting to know an entire group of people that I didn't even know existed when I was AJ's age. Discovering how much that group of individuals can teach me if I'm willing to be open and learn from them. And watching them exude happiness and excitement just because I walked into the classroom to visit AJ. And so many more lessons. I've said this before, and I'm sure I'll say it again. My life is so much richer, and I'm incredibly blessed to have special needs in my life. No, I'm not always grateful for it. Not when I'm knee-deep in research and meetings trying to figure out the next best step for AJ. Not when I'm fighting to get all that he needs to be able to live his best life. But overall, it's a life that I wouldn't change for anything. My life is richer today for having AJ and all of his friends in it. I've learned lessons I never would have learned any other way. And I found my life's calling because of them. Advocating for those who can't speak up for themselves, and encouraging those around them as they continue on their journey with special needs. So I look forward to sharing more about these blessings and complications throughout this series. So my question for you this week is this: how have you experienced the complications and blessings of special needs in your life? I'd love to hear your thoughts. You can leave me a comment below, or you can leave me a comment over on the blog. Again, that's at www.havenofhopeforme.com. This originally posted the end of March of 2022. If you prefer, you can also email me at Christy, CHRISTY, at havenofhopeforme.com. I'm grateful for special needs and all its ups and downs, so that I can continue to say that life is good and there is never a dull moment.